Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Dhar Talks. This is your everytime host, Prashant. And today we have with us someone who is so supernatural to the student community that I'm sure every Shepherdian who's watching this right now needs absolutely no introduction. But, anyways, Sarabjit sir, over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Prisha. Lovely to be here.
So, I know that this is not your first time visiting our school campus and that, you've been over here many times before. But talking about just today, how do you think? What has the campus been like?
I think I really loved my time at GSIS. This is, like you said, not the first time. It's probably the fourth or fifth time in the last 1 year itself. I love the vibe. I really enjoy working with the students here. I actually really enjoy working with the faculty here. So, and there's a number of times that I have interacted with the faculty here.
Though, surprisingly, when I told my teachers this morning that, oh yeah, I'm recording this episode with Sarabjit sir today, all of them were like, wait, Sarabjit sir's back? So, and for all the non-Shepherdians who are watching this episode, Sarabjit sir is the founder of Intendido and also the runner of the Thrive program over here. And that is what our episode today would be surrounding, the Thrive program. So, sir, I would start by asking you, the Thrive program is absolutely lovely. I know that all the students over here love attending it. But for our audience, what was your vision behind the Thrive program and what is it right now?
So, and as we named it Thrive for a reason. The idea is that whichever environment you're in, you're able to thrive as a person. And now, if you're a student, you're able to thrive in a school. If you're an adult, you thrive in your own environment, and all students, go on to become hopefully contributing individuals to a society. The vision behind Thrive and the purpose behind Thrive, I'm going to mix those up a little bit. There is tons and tons of research. Stanford, for instance, says that 75% of what stands behind a successful professional is soft skills. It's not technical skills. It's not hard skills. It's genuinely soft skills. And Simon Sinek says there's nothing soft about soft skills. Right? It's hard to build them. It takes time. There is so much research that says a student today, a 15, 16-year-old today, is going to change 5 careers, not jobs, 5 careers in their lifetime.
5
careers in their lifetime. So that's a huge deal. So what does that really mean if we think about it? If I were to take anybody who's in a particular job today, right? If they were to change that, not job again, career, what does it really require in terms of a mindset, in terms of a skill to be able to do that? It's someone who has the ability to unlearn, relearn, has a very high level of resilience, is able to manage anxiety, stress, right? Now look around and look at what's happening with mental health. Not just for teenagers, younger students as well, older people as well, right? And we can blame things on COVID for a lot, but let's be honest that it's been there before and it will be there.
Exactly.
After, right? So there's a ton of things that we need to build as a community, have those skills, right? And some of these things are not just simply saying, I'm going to walk in, attend a 3-hour workshop, and I have the skill, right? Like I'm equipped and armed for it, right? Some of these skills are like values. They're not taught, they're caught. So it's important that students get an opportunity to be a part of a long-term program. And Thrive is a long-term program with multiple interventions. That's why I think students here are extremely lucky to be a part of GSIS, a school that actually really focuses on otherwise what's put as beyond academics.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it's the base of academics. I'm sure you've heard this, you've gone through this as a student yourself. If I were to ask you, are you interested in all your subjects?
That is a question which, all the students we think about very often. And frankly, if I were to answer for myself, no, I'm not interested in all my subjects. But there are obviously subjects that I learn which I absolutely love, but not all.
Right. Now, if I were to say that if your marks in the subjects that you are not interested in matter considerable bit for your future, what does it take you to put in the same kind of energy that comes naturally to things that you are interested in?
Because let's be honest, if I were to take an example of mathematics, for example, my mathematics marks matter a lot for, the kind of future courses I would like to look into. But do I enjoy mathematics? Not really. But what I've realized is that, I do have to put in a lot more effort to be able to score the same 6 or 7 in mathematics that I have to in maybe bio.
Right. So think about the interest problem. Most people are actually students or adults, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Focus on things that they like. They grow in that space. However, there are some spaces in our lives, we'll always have them, we are not so interested in. How do you get a student who's not interested in a subject which is still necessary for them to study? Because in reality, students don't have the ability to change the curriculum.
Of course.
Right? They still have to go sit for an exam. That the marks of those exams decide what college they go to, right? Or university they go to. And then what happens after that and so on. Life moves on that way, right? Same thing applies to a job, right? We often get excited about a job or a career because we see the glory of that side. But there isn't a single job out there that doesn't have this boring side to it.
Yeah.
Not a single job out there. Ask anybody who does something and has been doing it for a while. They'll tell you that they have some really boring parts to their job.
And, if I were to talk about my own personal experience over here, I want to become a doctor, and my interest did start from a very high extent because the TV show Grey's Anatomy. And after that, I have this very fantasized and romanticized idea of being a doctor in my head. But my own uncle being a doctor and speaking to so many other doctors I've met, all of them have told me that being a doctor is nothing like Grey's Anatomy, and that after a point I will hate myself. But I'm still willing to go down that path.
And that's great.
Yeah.
As long as you have educated yourself, right, made yourself aware that there are other parts of it that I'm not going to like.
Yeah.
But there's so much that I do, and that's going to keep me going. For a real success to happen, you still need to perform at things that you don't like. Now, how do you make someone who's a 10-year-old or a 15-year-old do that today? If they learn to do that today, that becomes so much easier 15 years down the line in their career, right?
Yeah.
Because we are all going through that problem, regardless of age, right? So how do you get someone to be past the interest problem? We like to call it the interest problem.
The interest problem.
And there's the science behind this thing. There's something called the learning cycle, right? Most students who worked with us understand what that means. There are doers, there are thinkers, there are planners, right? And there are experimenters, right? Largely, I'm just dividing people into in that space. Who are you? And does that subject, the way that subject is taught, align with your method of learning? So does the method of instruction align with the method of learning? If they don't, please don't blame the teacher. Because there's 20 of you or even 15 of you. An educator can't teach 15 ways the same topic. That's really hard. They can probably do it 4 or 5 ways, right? In a 35-minute or a 45-minute class, right? Now, realistically speaking, if you want to own and take accountability of your own education, right? Both inside a classroom or outside the classroom, right? You've got to be responsible to know that I learn in a slightly different way than it is being taught right now.
Yeah.
Maybe the next chapter aligns to my way of learning, but this one doesn't. So what do I do? So first is about self-awareness, understanding who I am, how I learn. The second one is about taking accountability of your own education and saying,
Right.
to be able to thrive, like I need to be able to take control of my learning style and go find a way that I learn better.
Makes sense.
So if it's history, let's say, and a lot of information is thrown your way, and you're a person who likes to learn through videos, then go learn through a video. Instead of waiting for the educator to do that, right?
This is something so many of our teachers will tell us in class, that take ownership of your own learning. But this makes so much sense. If we don't know how we learn, then how do we take ownership? And this self-awareness does make a lot of sense.
Okay. And you've got SEL, right?
Yeah.
As a format that it's there. It's a model that's there that talks about self-awareness. It talks about self-management. It talks about social awareness. That space is there and it's crafted and it's available. At a school like GSIS, it's available to you to use, right? Yeah. It's a matter of now applying it to your life. And regardless of how old you are, you may be in grade 4, you may be in grade 12. It doesn't matter. But, and it's a beautiful model for you to use that and thrive using that.
And it makes so much sense to be able to do this at a younger age, because I can imagine that if I started doing this younger, it would be a subconscious habit which I would definitely follow later on too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that's part of the vision. What we asked ourselves, what should I have known if I was in school right now to be able to succeed?
Yeah.
So if I were to go back eons and eons ago when I was in school, uh, if I knew X things, that would make my life a lot easier today, right? How do we make that happen for students? And schools like GSIS have made that possible. They've gone really out of their way to make sure this kind of an opportunity is available for students. This is not a common thing. It's important for, I think, the GSIS community and Hill community beyond to know this, that the amount of effort that has gone by school as a community to make Thrive happen, trust me, I've been doing this for 25 years. It's not common. Far from it.
And as a student myself and someone who's been, talking to other students, I can tell you, we are very grateful for this program, because it gives us that break we require from our daily school lives and actually helps us understand and learn something which we can apply back to our school life. And, when you mentioned that this whole program, it's not beyond academics, but what academics starts from, this just made me think of transfer skills, because we learn about so many different skills in our school lives. We learn about mathematics, we learn about science, we learn about English, but as someone who's so close to going to college and is actually considering what am I going to do in life after this, the one thing I have realized and have had so many working professionals tell me is that I need to learn my own transfer skills. I need to learn that this English, math and science which I learned in school, how will I apply that to like real life scenarios, and how will I ensure that everything which I learned in school, I am truly able to apply to something which will help me serve, a bigger or greater purpose in my professional life or even personal adult life for that matter.
True. And any profession, right, other than your technical skills, it comes down to really working with people, right?
Yes.
Your ability to, I'm going to use a word, tolerance, for instance,
Yeah.
right? Your ability to go past that stuff that you see immediately about people, be judgmental and say, oh, I don't like this person, right? We do that really quickly. We do that in a flash,
Yeah.
right? We judge people, put them in a box, right? Or we feel judged and said that we were put in a box. How do you deal with this, right? Children today are in that box one way or the other all the time, right? And they don't like that. And nobody likes being put in a box. Now, if you run activities, you get them to reflect, get them to look into a mirror, right? And then ask anybody, they'll say, yes, I feel judged, right? Ask anybody, do you judge? Most people will say yes, right? You ask them to close their eyes, right?
Yeah.
Which is, you
With
know that is saying it.
Yeah. I remember that when I met you last year with, my MYP program and MYP 5, this is an activity you made us do. And all of us raised our hands for, feeling judged. And most of us raised our hands for judging too.
Right. So when we look in the mirror, the society we create is the society we are a part of, right?
Yeah.
So instead of asking others to not judge you, just stop judging. Maybe that is the starting point for it. Because as we've also done, what's in your control, what's beyond your control, other people's behavior, other people's reaction to your action is not in your control.
Yeah.
And thankfully so, guys. If it was, then you'd be under somebody else's control as well.
Of course.
So if that's the case, then the change has to start here, right? It has to start internal.
Of course.
So a lot of the stuff that we are doing is continuously about creating mirrors. It's about looking at that mirror and then looking at the transfer skills that you're talking about. So I have an occupational hazard. I tell stories, I guess. Just what I do.
And that's always interesting.
And well, so we had a student who was a part of Thrive in a different school, right? And we were interviewing this person 4 years after they had gone through Thrive, right? The idea of Thrive is not like you did the program today and 3 days later we asked you for feedback, right? That feedback may be, oh, how was your experience? Oh, it was wonderful. And, out of a rating of 1 to 5, you give us 5 and say, well, we'll get excited about that. But really, did it stick? Right? Really, did you apply it in life? Really, did you, So when this student who was in grade 11, right, finished with school, got into college, they were in second year of college. So almost going into the third year, final year of college, we were interviewing them to understand what is the impact of Thrive in, right? And she narrated an incident. We had gone for a hike, right? It was an expedition, multi-day expedition that we had gone for. And she said herself that she was one of the slower hikers, right? And everyone wanted to get to the peak early in the morning. right, to see the sunrise at the peak, right? And this is a snow-clad peak. It's 12,500 feet. You start at something like 4 o'clock in the morning, more like 3:30, 3:45. You start walking, so that also you're back in time because the snow starts to melt. Because she was a slow walker, she was hanging back, and she felt that the entire group was getting pulled back, right? What happened at that time was that the entire group collectively decided they're not leaving anybody behind. So they let go of this desire to see the sunrise from the peak because they wanted to take everyone along. And when I say everyone, it was largely this one person. Everyone else was walking ahead. She was the only one, in her own word, lagging behind. So when the group made that decision, it completely changed the chemistry. One, just the care for that person became more important than their individual goal.
Yeah.
Right. Collective goals became more important.
Yeah.
Right? She took that. She felt really good. The rest of her 1.5 years in school was very different according to her. Right. Felt accepted, felt included, right? Then included other people. She was really smart, top of the school in terms of academics, sports, all of that. So she ended up including other people because she was included.
Yeah.
So it changed her school life. But when she went to college, and she was in Singapore studying in a college, doing really well, right? This is what came back to her. How to include people, how to work with people, and not just because you're the head of a club. You're not going to tell people how to do it, but you're going to work with people and find a collective goal. Yes. So she narrated this incident to say how to build collective goals was something she learned on that hike.
Yeah.
Right. So that as a transfer skill is true for your jobs and not just in college.
Exactly. And it's so exciting how you can apply something you learned so many years ago I'm going to be honest, I love hikes in such a fun way to something happening in your college and adult life 4 years from then.
True.
Yeah.
And hopefully a lot longer than that.
Hopefully definitely a lot longer. So I have one more question for you. As someone who has clearly been conducting Thrive for so many years, conducting Thrive and being a part of this, if you had one personal take away from this, which you apply to your own life now, which you've maybe learned from the students or from the program itself, what would that be?
I would say it's something that got reinforced. I can't say that this is where the learning happened, but it certainly got reinforced. And that was start where the learner is. So in the world of experiential education, one of the principles is start where the learner is, which means don't walk in with a preset curriculum and saying, this is what we want to do in the next 2 hours, 1 day, 5 days. Don't do that. And you literally, and this is a line we use often, the entire team will use this, say plan to death and then throw it out.
That makes sense.
The moment you walk in, it's not about our plan. It's about the students or the participants, whoever they are. And I think Thrive has repeatedly taught us that. Right? For instance, in July, when we were doing phase 1 of Thrive, we had planned outdoors, but it rained. And then it rained some more.
It's July routine, yeah.
Right. So we didn't get permissions to go into the outdoors. Now, what do? Literally at the last minute, half of your program has been changed. Right?
Yeah.
But you have to start where the learner is. You have to have a conversation with the students. You have to understand what it is that they really want. It's not what we want. It's their program. We're just conducting it. Right?
Yeah.
So the piece that was really important for me is check in with them, speak to them, ask them, pass the power back to them. Right?
That makes sense.
And when you pass the power back to a student, you suddenly realize that they give you all the power back. Because it's not about controlling them. That's not the idea. The idea is that how will they thrive?
Yeah.
So you just ask them that. What do you need? And you make it happen within the boundaries. So if a student says, I want to go watch a movie outside the school campus, not going to happen.
Of course.
Right? But within a set boundary, right? What is it that you can do? What is it that you can create? So they said, we don't want to be in the class. We want to be somewhere outdoors. We understand it's raining. So we conducted a lot of stuff in the open space that the school campus had. And there's plenty of such space that's not inside a classroom. It's outdoors, but there's shelter. Right? So we ran stuff which was more aligned to that. We listened to feedback, right?
Yeah.
And the feedback said, we got to be on a hike, right? And that's what even the seniors at school, the educators, the management, they also told us that outdoors is a very essential part of this.
Yeah.
So we made sure that now, when we just ran it in November, uh, one day was outdoors, one day was in school, but still largely out of classroom.
Yeah.
So it's a reinforcement saying always start where the learner is.
And that is something which, let me tell you, I have also learned a very hard way. I used to be an absolute control freak. All the projects I ran, all the different things if you go back to my 8th grade or 9th grade classroom and you ask them how was Prishan group projects, all of them would just sigh. Because I used to be an absolute control freak who had to ensure that everything in the project was happening the way I wanted it. But the last 2 years of my life with, running the podcasts, for example, both the Hard Talks and Of the System, one thing I've realized is that the best way for the whole team to work together and for our audience to actually be able to get quality work is to actually be able to communicate with everyone and understand what it is that all of us together believe that will efficiently work out.
Yeah.
So in Tar Talks, we started this podcast 3 months ago, and the amount of changes it has been through is absolutely crazy. With us deciding to having one episode per month to going to having one episode 1 week per week, and reducing our episode duration to almost half. And and all of this took a lot of discussion from the team. It took a lot of handing responsibility back and forth, deciding that okay, I make the decision right now, you make the decision right now, to actually be able to put this up. So I completely understand what you're saying.
Yeah. You print a collective ownership.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not any longer about whose idea it was.
Exactly.
Right? It's about whose creation this is. And it'll never be an individual's creation. If you want
Never.
to create something of meaning and long lasting, there almost never is a single person's
Exactly.
piece, right?
Like Tar Talks right now is a 14 people team. And we range all the way from being hosts to being people who design our Spotify covers. And let me tell you, this podcast would not be the exact way it is without any single person not being over here.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Because everyone has contributed so much, and the whole concept of ownership, all of us do see Tar Talks as our own podcast right now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I feel that actually Tar Talks is probably also beyond the 14 of you. It's the community, it's the parents. I think it's important for parents to have a conversation with students who are in grade 7, 8, 9, 11, even 12, right? And find out what do they think that their children have taken away from Thrive.
Exactly.
That, there's this say, you need a village to raise a child. And of course, the parent, even though you're in a boarding school, but of course, the parent is an extremely important part of that village. So a conversation that a parent will have with their child saying, so how was it? Right? Maybe a very different answer will come compared to when written on a feedback form or when a teacher's asking.
And as a student myself, every time my parents have asked me about specific instances or specific things that happen in the school, I have realized that my answer to them has always been so much more reflective than my answer in any other form. Because after we do any activity, after we have things like Thrive, for example, we have teachers, we have coordinators who ask us to reflect.
Right.
But as someone who is a student and a part of GSIS in the very end, I have realized my answers are so much more reflective when I'm telling my parents about them, when I'm telling my parents that I learned this, I learned that. I think I really enjoyed this part of it. I believe that, I could have done better in this.
Why is that?
Because honestly, I know the answer to this. Being a part of a boarding school community, we get to talk to our parents twice, thrice a week. And when we do, we are so excited to tell them about everything we have done. And a program like Thrive, I was speaking to the 8th graders recently. All of them are so excited about Thrive. And so naturally, if they're so excited about something, they want to tell their parents about it.
Yeah.
And as a student myself, I personally want to ensure I tell my parents every single detail about it. And I have realized now that ends up being so much more reflective than any Google form I fill out.
Yeah. It's hard to express emotion in a Google form, right?
Exactly.
So as opposed to talking to a person about it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it would be wonderful if parents were to be, asking more questions to their child
Exactly.
about this. And I think that's when it'll actually spread for them to know, okay, how much effort is being put by the school to impact the child's growth
Exactly.
on all fronts. Truly a holistic education.
This is a conversation I have with my own parents pretty often, how in the end, the parents are also a very integral part of the school community. Like it is in their decision to put us over here. And in the end, they are the ones, they are the link between us and the school.
Right.
So what I have realized is that when us students, we go to our parents and we tell them our feedback, our reviews and things, they should also actively be a part of this, and be a part of implementing what could work good for the child, what could, what's the learning style of the child, what's the, behavior of the child towards this. And such feedback towards the school and to the Thrive program by the parents could also be very helpful.
True. And there's another stakeholder, your alumni.
Exactly.
Asking the alumni that if how is life for you, let's say 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years ago, right, at GSIS, and given what's uh, in the market right now, in the professional space right now, if these are the learning outcomes GSIS is focusing on, what are their thoughts on something like that?
Exactly. The way I believe that for us students, our parents are our way to communicate our own feelings and thoughts and opinions back to the school. I believe that the alumni of Good Shepherd are the way for us to be able to connect what's going on in the outside world, what's going on in the job market back to us, the school students.
Right.
Because, they have been through exactly what we have been through. Every time we have the old Shepherdians meet, this is what all the Shepherdians tell us that, hey, we have been through what you've been through. And, to be able to understand how they are approaching the outside world right now, how they're approaching their colleges or their workspaces or their, I love to say this, personal adult lives. That would help us to be able to, understand what us students can use to thrive so much better.
Yeah, absolutely. And relationships is a big part of that. Your relationships here will impact. I genuinely feel I come from a boarding school and my relationships are 35 years old. Right? That's most of my life. And because we joined school together when we were 10-year-olds. And we meet multiple times in a year, even though we don't live in the same city. So you're creating life bonds here. Right?
Exactly.
And this is a great place to learn how to work with, be with, understand people who are different from you, not want them to change so that they're also not asking you to change. Accept each other the way you are, find a way to work with each other, and then move forward. Instead of, as you know, a lot what happens is that, oh, we didn't agree on something and now we don't talk to each other.
Exactly.
So,
Because, I do believe in a boarding school, you do form the most interpersonal relationships you will ever form in your life.
yeah,
You spend your entire day with these people. You wake up at 5:30 in the morning together, you go to bed at 10:30 together.
True.
And I can tell you, some of my closest relationships are in this school, whether it be with the teachers I talk to every day or, of course, my own cubicle mates.
Right.
And we have our disagreements because that's what happens when you live together. But as someone who's been in the school for 5 years, I believe that these disagreements are exactly what teach us how to handle our own future relationships and our, professional conflicts, personal conflicts in the future a lot better.
Right. Yeah, completely.
So I would ask you now, as a student, because I believe all of us at every age are students, we're all still learning. As a student yourself, if you were to attend the Thrive program as student for Thrive, why would you do so?
Okay. You want the popular answer or the serious answer?
Both. Let's start with the popular one though.
All right. So this is hopefully not the reason why people should attend.
Yeah.
But I get to miss classes, sir. Right. Really hope that's, at least maybe the first time you attend, I can understand that maybe the reason you
Maybe the first time.
Right. But hopefully later on, that's not why you're looking to attend it. For me, I think it really always starts with the self, right? Entendido as an organization, its purpose and its ethos, right, is literally to help someone understand themselves or others. The word entendido is to understand.
Ooh.
Right. It's a Spanish word and it means that, right? Comprende, to understand, right? And our objective is to intentionally slow down and understand somebody. And it starts with the somebody is you.
Exactly.
Right?
It starts with
the more mirrors we create for you, right, the more I understand myself. Unfortunately, a good number of people go through their entire lives not being understood.
Yeah.
They'll say they'll have great relationships, right? But they barely have one or two people who really understand, really, right? Even as adults, for sure, right? We want to change that. And as a student, I would want to be part of this space so I can understand myself a little bit better. I can understand what makes me tick, what makes me learn, where my motivation comes from, where my drive comes from, right? This is all the serious stuff, right?
Yeah.
But imagine doing this in a fun way,
Exactly.
You don't realize that's what you're doing, but that's what you end up with it at the end of the X hours or days. You're just going for a hike, right? You're going with friends. You're going to have a nice time. You're going to play around. You'll do a lot of problem solving. We had an activity this time where you had to either create a map and then hand it over to the other group. You have to create a treasure hunt, right? You can choose to make it extremely hard or extremely easy. It's completely up to you. But the same choice may apply to the other group when they make their map and give it. Right?
Exactly.
So what do you choose as a group? Do you choose to raise your level, or do you choose to make it easy for everybody?
Yeah.
Right. And these are the kind of conversations we end up having. It's treasure hunt. Everyone's had fun. You found your chocolates, and that's great. Awesome. But what was the thought process when you were putting the treasure there and creating a clue?
Right.
Was it to make it hard for other people?
That makes a lot
And
of
why?
sense. Yeah.
You're JSIS. You're literally amongst the best schools in the country. Right? And you're definitely the cream of the country. Now, for me, that's the important part is, are you the financial cream of the country or the cream of the country?
Exactly. Like, to be the cream of the country, are we doing something to ensure that we live up to that level or to that mark?
Right. And who sets the mark?
Exactly. It's up to us whether,
Right.
we are able to raise our own standards or our own thinking and thought process to that level.
Right. So we play with your mind. We literally play with your mind, because when we are going to ask you to set a goal for yourself, we'll just drop one piece of data or nugget saying, on an average, students your age, your ability have this kind of achievement, right? And people will normally, and trust me, it's not just students, it's adults as well, it's CEOs as well. When we work with them, they'll say, oh, so the average is 47. Hey, guys, we got to do 50, okay? Right. And you do this, and in the end, you ask them that really your benchmark was average?
Yeah.
No one asked the question, what was the best performance?
Makes
So my next question is, you're a GSIs, are you average? Because if you're average, we're done for as a country.
Of course.
Yeah, you're not average, you're far from average. I really hope you don't think you're average as a community, right? So when you knock on someone's mind like that,
Yeah.
right? If it sticks, it's amazing. It is a game changer, or how you set goals for yourself.
And as a student myself, let me tell you, when we have someone knock on our minds like that, it's one of those goosebump moments we actually experience where we're like, oh damn, I did not think of this that way. And again, as a student myself, I can tell you that does actually bring a major change in our thought process. Whether we consciously put an effort into it or not, it's always in our minds that, hey, I talked about this that day. Maybe I should do this like that.
True.
And, that would personally be my reason to be able to attend this program. And, talking about being able to, develop those necessary skills or that necessary thought process, I have realized that even as a whole generation ourselves, we are trying so hard to be in the in the quest of that. Whether we look at the way we approach social media, we try so hard to keep ourselves updated with all the news. I believe that our generation, we're trying to put in this collective effort to ensure that our social media platforms are filled with something beyond just reels. We put in that effort to, ensure that it's updated with the latest news, what's going on in media, the way culture decides to approach certain topics. And if we talk about things such as coming back to this podcast, our own vision, the 11th graders, our vision behind starting this podcast was to ensure that we are able to cover topics from around the world which make us think and bring that change in us where we, don't agree to sit with just average information and news, which we find in newspapers or famous news channels.
Right.
And I believe that, coming back to Thrive and the whole program, being able to reflect back into yourself and seeing where do I stand and what can I do to make myself better would be my reason, and definitely so many more students' reasons for being able to attend Thrive.
Yeah, I think those are very good reasons.
Yeah.
You may start with, I get to bunk class, but hopefully that's not where you stop.
Yeah. Definitely knowing all of us, knowing students, I'm pretty sure most of us started with that, but I can tell you that is not where we have stopped. And because, we felt the change, and once we feel the change, we will naturally also have a change in our thinking process, and we shift from bunking classes.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So, I have one final question for you before, we hand over to the juniors. And that would be both, taking into consideration both phase 1, which happened in July, and right now phase 2. What would be that one memory which you like the most?
Okay, that's a hard one. It's a hard one to pick one.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take the name of the child, right? Just for respect for their privacy.
Yeah.
Right? In the beginning of the program, uh, as an observer, you see that, okay, there are children who are always a part of the center. Right? They're very comfortable, they can talk, they can respond to someone else, they can challenge someone else's thought process. But then you also have the people who are quieter, right?
Yeah.
And how we judge people is a lens in our head. It's not necessarily the right outcome.
Linear path, but yeah.
Yeah. So for instance, if as an educator, I would say that learning means whoever is raising their hand and talking, right? Then I know they're learning. That is a problem in how I am judging it, right? But in the beginning, we had this person who was not talking.
Yeah.
Maybe most people would have thought is not interested, right? Certainly doesn't share, right? Their deeper thoughts. When you ask them a question point blank, like, hey, what are your thoughts? He's saying, nothing. How is it? Good. So very monosyllable responses on the first day. But we started to create opportunity for them to reflect in a different way. We said, hey, if you're not comfortable talking, that's perfectly fine. Why don't you write your response down? Right. So now it's about, the idea is to get it out of your head onto something, right? People who are not comfortable talking, they feel fine sharing it, right? That way. Right?
Yeah.
By the time we finished Thrive, it was as if we were talking to a completely different human being. And not just us, the batch thought they were talking to a completely different. They said they have never heard this person talk so much in the last year as they have spoken in this last few hours. Right? Simply because the environment that was created there was safe.
That makes sense. A lot of sense.
It's a safer environment compared to whatever they thought they were in, right? And now they started to get to know other batchmates and saying, oh, you know what? I had perceived this person to be X, but they're not like that. They're actually much nicer. And this is what this person was saying, that, I've been in the school for a considerable amount of time. I know of these people, but I don't really know them. When we went for a hike, I saw a very different side. Right? And in reality, not a different side. That is their side.
That's just, what they've not been showing as of now.
Is right. And for whatever reason, right? The point is that they saw a different part of others and they were now willing to share a different part of themselves or a greater part of themselves.
Yeah.
What we saw happen literally in 2 days in terms of change and the chemistry within that group, the conversations, this person feeling like they don't have any friends, right? Just absolutely changed. And they're new to the school, right? It's not been even a year for them to be around, right? But it can be really lonely in a boarding school if you don't have friends, right? But an opportunity created, an environment changed, right? Suddenly changed things for this person. And for us, that was a huge takeaway.
Exactly.
That now this person has found a few people they can connect with both genders, right? So for us, that's a amazing moment. I mean, we just feel that, okay, it's everything we do becomes worth it.
Exactly. And the bigger impact of this is so much because, whatever they took away from those few days, they will probably be impacted for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
The way they choose to approach their relationships in the future, they choose to approach what college they apply for, the way they choose to approach how, the kind of person they are in a workspace.
Right.
And it changes so much.
Yeah. And I just think that the environments are such a crucial part of who we become.
Yeah.
Right. Who we are is a different thing, but who we become because of the environment, we have to also understand that we are part of the environment, whether we like it or we don't. How we contribute to the environment, we change it.
Yeah.
Right. So this person decided to contribute in a different manner than they were till now, which is being quiet and not responding or only responding in monosyllable responses, even to their classmates. This person would only respond in a monosyllable piece. Nobody had an idea this person could sketch so well. Nobody had an idea this person sang. Nobody.
And that is so wild to think about because, and then we do spend all of our time together.
Yeah.
And, this is exactly, when you mentioned that when you start contributing to the environment around you, you change it too.
Yeah.
I believe in that so much because, we've heard this so much, be the change you want to see. And when you are truly able to put your words across, when you're able to say that this is me, this is what I like, and this is what I'm going to do, you are inevitably changing what's happening around you.
True. And it's important for us to recognize this thing that, schools, definitely schools like GSIs, what they can do is create opportunity.
Yeah.
No, and the opportunity will keep knocking on your door continuously, but at some point it'll stop.
Yes.
Right? So you're lucky to be here. As a student body, you're lucky to be here. Right? Number of schools do this part really well. Right? They create opportunity for you. Right? But you still have to take it. The concept of horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink.
Exactly.
Right? So when we're busy looking at what the school doesn't give, doesn't have, we don't get to do this, we don't get to do that, it might be a good idea to create a list of things that the school does do. Does
Exactly.
give.
And the way they impact us.
Yeah.
Because okay, I have been in the school for a very long time now. And of course, as every young middle schooler, I was like, we don't get this, we don't get that. But now that, I was so close, 70 more months for my schooling life. And I have realized that there is so much that the school does do. And there are so many ways in which I am a completely different person the years I have been in the school than what I remember my fifth grade being like. And I am so grateful for that.
Yeah.
Because I like the person I am right now with the opportunities I've gotten, the kind of people I've met. I do believe that the school has shaped me in a kind of way which I really like.
That's nice. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
So it was amazing talking to you today. It was amazing talking about the Thrive program. It was amazing to, get to know your own opinions on it as someone who runs it. And while you're done talking to me, we have all those 7th, 8th, and 9th graders who are willing to speak to you. So over to them now.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Peter.
Finally, we have with us Yuvraj Malu from grade 7, our youngest speaker over here till now. So Yuvraj, how do you feel?
I was feeling nervous in the starting. You motivated me, so I feel fine now.
Okay, good to know my pep talks are working. But now I'm out. It's much between you guys. So
Let's see, Raj. We've been talking about Thrive as a program. You attended it. The big question is, does it work? Is it useful? What have been your takeaways? Can you use those takeaways somewhere in school, in your school life, in your personal life, as a term that Prisha has been using, personal adult life. This is it, right? This is her word. But what was your big takeaway from Thrive?
Like I enjoyed the trekking the most there.
What did you like in trekking?
Entering like it was very narrow path. Walking in one file was too adventurous. I did this thing for the first time in my life.
Nice. All right. And did you get to know people a little bit better? People in your batch, did that happen for you?
Yeah. Like one guy was not my friend. I was too lonely, so he accompanied me.
Oh, okay. And is that somebody you are in touch with now, even after the program is over?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's in my dorm only.
Oh, nice. Okay. And you didn't know them earlier?
No.
Right.
Like I did not used to talk to them.
Interesting. So why did you choose to do that on the trek?
Like,
When you were trekking?
I was too alone. I didn't know. Like it was too boring for me. Nobody is talking to me, so I just approached with them.
All right. And you never approached this same person in the boarding house or in doing school other things?
No.
What do you think was the difference between that environment and the otherwise regular environment?
The trekking part was fun.
Okay. All right. And that helped you approach the person?
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Interesting. Yeah.
So, I would ask you because I'm just a boarder like you. And I have realized this. I have been in the school for 5 years. This is my 5th year. And I have realized there were people who I absolutely hated in 8th grade and 7th grade who I am best friends with right now. So I would ask you that, because you started talking to this person and, now because of the trek, because, you were lonely and you and this person started talking. Now that you're friends with this person, is it a lot more fun to hang out in the dorm with them? Is it a lot more fun in your classroom environment?
Yeah, it is. Like that guy comes to me and asks like, will you play this game with me? Because he's also like bored a lot.
Yeah. And then I get it. Trust me, as a fellow boarder myself, and I know Sir was in a boarding school too. When you have, this kind of connection, even with someone, even when you're simply able to play a game, it's fun. So I do hope that's been nice for you.
Yeah.
So how long have you been in the school?
I'm here since 19 July this year.
I think it's important for the viewers to know that you're new to the school. Because when you say it's boring, they start to wonder that, okay, how long has Yuvraj been in the school? And the person you approached and you're talking to, are they also new or have they been around in
No,
school?
they are also new.
They're also new. All right.
Trust me, Yuvraj, give it a few more weeks. You'll find your ways around the school, and that it will be so fun. This is my 5th year, and once you find your ways around the school, once you find out what interests you, what keeps you entertained, it will be so fun. And now that you found another friend over here, it's very good to be able to go through all of this together.
Yes.
So I hope that's been good for you, and thank you so much for joining us today, Yuvraj. It was amazing to get to know your story.
Yeah. Stop.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raj.
So now we have over here with us Anushka B. Pillai, a grade 9 student of course, Good Shepherd International. So Anushka, how do you feel to be over here?
I'm feeling a bit of nervous as this is my first time in a podcast.
Well, hopefully you will, realize that this is super fun to do and you do start podcasting with us more. So we are talking about Thrive today, and of course we have Sarabjit sir with us. So over to you, Anha.
So, Anushka, we were talking about what kind of takeaways people could have possibly had. Why did we think of starting Thrive? How GSIS has played a huge role in bringing it into the community. I think both Prisha and I are interested to know what you've attended phase 1, which happened in July. Then you attended one in November, which is phase 2. If you think of your experience there, what's been your biggest takeaway from Thrive?
The session which I enjoyed the most was a trekking one, as we were connected to the nature very much. So I had a lot of takeaways from that because we were trekking and it was very fun to be there. Also in Thrive phase 2, we had a session in the Fernhill campus, which was the second day. We had a lot of activities there and there were a lot of takeaways from that activities as well. The leadership qualities, teamwork most probably, because we had an activity where we had to make a conveyor belt, and first without any pre-planning we started making it, but it failed. But in the second time we got a chance, we worked as a team together to make it and we planned it before. So a lot of takeaways with that in the second too as well.
So the essential of planning and the importance of teamwork, if I would. When you step away from Thrive as a program, right? How do you see the need for planning or the need for teamwork in your life otherwise at GSIS? Is that something that you find of use? Is that something that you can put to play?
Yes, because in GSIS, if you take studies only, we have to plan according to our timetable, our exams, if anything is coming. You have to plan accordingly and make the timetable. So pre-planning is very necessary in GSIS as well as in life. Leadership qualities are useful in each and every phase of the life, not only in GSIS as well. Here we had the chance of becoming a prefect from 10th grade, so there we can show our leadership qualities.
Nice.
And thinking about leadership qualities, and because you mentioned the upcoming prefectship too, now that I think about the way we can apply what we learn, especially the leadership part of Thrive, is that prefectship, even though it feels like such an in-school thing, I believe that if you're able to apply your leadership skills which you have developed from the Thrive program to the way you will be behaving as future prefect yourself, I believe that even that in itself is such a whole experience that helps you learn how you can approach life, and the different, I mentioned this so many times in our conversation, the different personal adult aspects of your life and the different professional aspects of your life with those leadership skills you have developed. And I would personally think about that. Yeah. So thank you so much, Anushka, for being over here today. And trekking does sound very interesting. I'm a huge trekking junkie myself. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anushka.
Thank you, sir.
So now we have with us Ganeeb Singh Saluja from grade 8. Ganeeb, I would ask you, how does it feel to be over here?
It feels amazing.
It feels amazing. The feeling in front of the mic is very amazing. So now I'm out. It's all over to you and so on.
So, Ganesh, we've been talking about Thrive, something you've been a part of. And the big question is there a takeaway? If there is, what is it? Is it something that you can take and apply into other parts of your life? Definitely parts of GSIS as a school, your school life. So you've attended both phases, right? What have you taken away from phase 1 and phase 2, or
Combined,
up to you?
combined, I feel that I really took the quality of teamwork as teamwork and determination basically, because being in a residential school here, there's no parents at all to watch you, but there are teachers, and if you are not working in a group, it's like really difficult for teachers to manage you here.
Okay. Right. Where is the determination? Where is that required?
See, if you are, let's say, taking an example, if you are put in a group and you're just not giving any of your inputs in the group and you're just sitting all alone on the side and the corner, just ignoring everyone. I mean, that, you should have the determination to be there, share your ideas, and then, engage with everyone basically. So that helps the overall growth of the group. Let's say.
All right.
And what if you have an extraordinary idea which can be used?
True.
You know, we were just talking about this because you mentioned, participating in the group you are in. We were just talking about this, how, when we as students decide to participate and speak up in the groups we are a part of, we actually end up changing the environment and the whole group as we know it. That is something I believe, you guys as 8th graders and, even us as 11th graders would really benefit from acknowledging openly that when we are an active member of the group, when, we're determined to ensure that we put in our inputs, we do end up changing our group the way it is.
So another question for you. When you were on the hike, if I were to say, think of one thing that you enjoyed the most, what would it be?
It was the difficult part which our teacher gave the name as the vulture thing. And then whenever, like as soon as we were going down there, it was so fun. There were like trees falling down and then you had to cross, almost do splits, and it was really difficult to get in there. And because like, I love trekking, it's like kind of my hobby. So I tried running around, I tried jumping everywhere, and it was like a lot of fun over that part.
Did you end up connecting with somebody more than you normally do on this?
Yeah, the teacher who took me, Deep sir, he was excellent. Actually, we both, I got to know that we both had the same interests. He loves mountain biking. So I was just discussing about it like while we were walking through the trail. So I was like, this trail is really amazing to do mountain biking. And then he was like, yeah. And he also said that he was a part of, he went to Australia, and then over there he actually first tried mountain biking.
Right.
So it was really amazing to know that me and sir have the same interest. I also got to know he plays cricket.
Nice. What about any of your batchmates? Did you connect with someone that you normally feel that you don't end up connecting with for whatever reason? Did you get to know people a little better?
Yeah, I got to know that most of us, like, there was this one common understanding where we had this reflection part. Everybody, it was like our teacher asked us that what is one thing that you want to leave away, like while you're like going out of this track. Everyone said the same answer. It was laziness. It was the same thing, like literally almost out of the, let's say 25 people we had, 20, 22, 23 people said the same thing.
If you were to leave laziness, what would happen? How would that impact your life at GSIS?
Some people being lazy and lethargic are little, like, they're not engaged in activities anymore. They just want to, sit down and chillax the whole day. So that, being active is something which is like really amazing if you are active in a group. Because let's say if you are put in a group situation, then being active is one of the best things, because you get that ideas and then you are hyping up the entire group. You're getting in that energy so that everybody is engaged. You are the one, who has the most energy, is talking a lot, taking everybody's inputs, putting it out together, making everybody feel that they, actually are a part of the group.
Nice.
I get this so much because I believe what you're talking about is spirit. And this is something even I have realized, maybe last 2-3 years of being in a boarding school, that when you're in a boarding school, spirit is the most important thing. When, you realize together how good your team can be if you're together, how good your house can be if you're all together and united on one topic. That feeling of spirit is so fun that I can tell you that's one of the main reasons I love being in Good Shepherd so much. And it's so good how you guys, got to realize that in 8th grade itself.
It's really fun because, watching everybody and they are so just not involved. And then I really feel like I should have, give an initiative.
Hype everyone up. Yeah, I get that.
Everybody should be involved.
Nice.
So thank you so much, Ganeep. I completely agree with everything you've said. And I'm sure, most of the listeners do too. And it was good to see how Thrive impacted you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Siri.